Thank you for joining us. I'm Errol Porter, and this is TV20. And I'm so honored today to be sitting here with Marsha Mockabee, who's the president and CEO of the Greater Cleveland Urban League, as we continue to honor our women for Women's History Month and Cleveland's own, the living legend. And it's an honor. How are you doing today?
I am doing well, Errol. Thank you so much. I'm humbled to be here with you today.
You in charge of something that's been around for over 109 years?
Yeah, 107.
107 years.
Yeah, 107.
That's a very long time. And you've been in your tenure for about
15
years. And what has that been like? How's that journey been?
Wow. So it's been amazing. When I first started the journey, it was a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
It was a challenge. Started off with a divine appointment to turn an organization around that was on life support.
Right.
And it wasn't something I would have chosen, but it was a divine assignment that I received, a promise that things would turn around.
Mm-hmm.
So I took it on. And over the years, over the first, I'd say, the first 10 years were a lot of work of just reestablishing the brand, getting the community to understand that we were still here,
Right.
that we could be viable, getting the community to believe in the Urban League again, and getting supporters to come back and support us again. And then something amazing happened. Two things happened. The late Steve Mentor, who is an icon in this community, agreed to be my mentor and agreed to be the supporter for our board.
Yeah.
He wouldn't come on the board, but he said, I'll be a champion to the board and I'll be your mentor. A few years after that, the big thing that I encountered when I took on the Urban League was the debt of the building, which was choking us and preventing us from really bringing in any strong resources to the league to help us to grow and sustain and move forward. And I'm going to give honor to Daryl McNair, a community treasurer in our community who was part of our debt resolution community. He called me one day and he said, Marsha, I want to have dinner with you. Want to talk to you about the building. So we did that. He hands me a piece of paper. I'm like, Daryl, what is this? And he said, I want to buy the building and lease it back to the league. You all can be the anchor tenants. And that was the beginning of our negotiation to do that. And what that meant was then that the Cleveland Foundation, the Gun Foundation, United Way, other major funders felt comfortable again investing in the league because they knew that their investments would not go to old debt.
Right.
So those were major.
Now, the focus of the Urban League then and now, has that changed any? What's the main focus for you guys right now?
So I would say it's not changed, it has expanded. So we've always been an organization focused on education, workforce, entrepreneurship, most of my time here. And all of that is undergirded by social justice and civil rights. So certainly, as you know, across the country and everywhere, after the death of George Floyd, the whole social justice thing went to a whole nother level. And so our work in that area increased. And then the COVID pandemic, who expected that to happen? So we became more of a virtual delivery system kind of an organization, which we never thought we would be. And
how was that transition? I mean,
it was interesting, but here was the crazy thing. We adapted quickly,
Right.
and then what we found is we were serving more people on a virtual platform than we were face-to-face.
Wow.
And so today, we are still in a hybrid kind of a model. We still do some things virtually, but we do much more back, face-to-face and engaging people here. I think when you came up, you saw our lot is full.
Right.
It's full all the time. We're trying to figure out what to do about increasing parking. But we're in a good
So what's going on here on a day-to-day basis with all those cars?
Oh my goodness. So our Entrepreneurship Center is holding classes to help people establish their businesses, get their their LLCs established and all of those kinds of things, helping them with their business plans. So that's happening in the Entrepreneurship Center. Plus, we've recently had a Black restaurateur program where a lot of our Black restaurants and caterers are coming to us, and they're going through a Becoming Bankable program where, you know how they've been cooking at home, selling stuff out the house. We're trying to teach them how to really create it as a business so they can grow it, they can hire people to help them, and they can really create it as a legacy business. So that's some of the stuff that we're doing on that side of the house. On the workforce side of the house, we are part of this built environment, $10 million that the city of Cleveland is investing. So we're working deep in the construction area. We're helping individuals to learn how to work in the construction area. We're helping businesses to understand how to become developers and how to really become companies that can hire people to work in construction. So we have an expungement program. We have a financial opportunity center that helps people to really manage their money and get access to resources that they may need, like SNAP and ENT and those kinds of things. And then we have our youth program. And so that's the heart of where I started here. I was the education and youth director for 20 years before I became the CEO. And we have an amazing youth team. They're getting ready to take young people on a historically Black college tour to Atlanta, awesome. And they're leaving on Sunday. So, yeah.
Cool. So well, take me back before those 20 years.
Yes.
You were heading up the youth. What before that? Take us back to elementary, high school, all that stuff in Cleveland. Tell us how you grew up.
You tried to take me back a lot of years, Harold. Okay. So I'm a Clevelander.
Okay.
I'm born and bred, been here all my life. I went to Collinwood High School, attended Collinwood at the same time as the late Stephanie Tubbs Jones. She was just a half a year ahead of me, and she was my mentor at Collinwood. Helped me to stay out of trouble. I got into a lot of trouble when I was at Collinwood because, as you know, there was a lot of, there was a lot of turmoil at that time. The Collinwood is positioned, not today, it's not that way, but at that time, in a deeply ethnic neighborhood, a lot of Italian, a lot of other ethnic groups.
Remember, everyone used to talk about the tracks.
Yes, across the railroad tracks, right. Absolutely. A lot of stuff going on there. And I can tell you that the day that I entered Collinwood High School, my dad took me to school, and parents were marching around outside of the school with signs that said, "Nigga, go home."
Wow.
I cried. Wow. I wanted, John Hay was the
What
school.
year was that?
That was 60, that was in the 60s.
Okay.
So, and my dad, I should have gone to John Hay, which was the school in my district, but I was coming to a special program at Collinwood. So I'm crying and I'm saying to my dad, Dad, I want to go to my dad said to me, he said, if I have to bring you every day and walk you into that door and put you inside, he said, because the very reason that they're trying to keep you out is I know that there's something here for you. Wow. And I'm not going to let anybody stop you from getting what's due to you. And so it took so much courage for him, and for him to do that for me. I'm eternally grateful. It was a great experience for me. I got a great education at Collinwood, and it helped me to get a job at Ohio Bell when I got out. When I went to get a job at Ohio Bell, all I knew was operators worked at Ohio Bell. Right. So I said, I came to get a job as an operator. So they looked at my transcript and they said, "You went to Collinwood?" And he said, "Do you had these kind of grades?" I was like, "Yes." And they said, "We got something else for you." So I ended up being one of the first business service representatives in the Business Development Center. Right. And it's because I love to talk. I've always loved to talk. To my parents' chagrin, they used to tell me sometimes, "Girl, will you go sit down somewhere and quit talking?" But I learned to get a job doing what I love, to talk.
And now your college experience, did it come after that, or?
It did. So I graduated from Collinwood High School, and I received a full ride to Ohio. Well, it wasn't the Ohio State then. It is now the Ohio State University.
Right.
But there was one little problem. I met my husband.
All right.
And I majored in James Mockabee, and I was on the dean's list. So we got married and started a family, right. And what we decided was, working and raising children were the priorities for me right. at that time. And I had a decent job. My husband was a Vietnam vet and worked for the post office, so we were doing okay. Right. And so, but he promised my father was livid, of course. I'm an only child. Okay. My father's hopes on me. Yes. And when we made this decision, my dad was not happy. But my husband said to him, Dad, I'm going to make sure at some point she's going to get her degree. So unfortunately, my dad didn't live to see it, but after both of my children, and I have two daughters, they're 12 years apart. So after my second daughter graduated from high school, my husband says, okay, I've been putting this aside and putting this aside. It's time for you to go get your degree. Wow. So I'm like, okay. And I'm like, but I'm working full time. And he said, I'll make a deal with you. He said, if you work full time and go to school full time, because I was going to do it online. Right. He said, you don't have to cook and you don't have to clean. I'm like, you got a deal, bruh. So yeah, so awesome. he was a great supporter, mm-hmm. and a great champion, right. and it was so amazing because in that time, he was very much a strong alpha male, right. but he was not. It was no problem for him to support a strong woman, and he saw the potential in me, and he wanted that for me. And so support.
Working on your degree, was this your focus? Did you think you would end up where you are now? What was your
No, sir.
What were you focused on in school?
I first got a certificate in nonprofit management from Case, because I worked at Case for a little while, and it was tuition free. And I wanted to kind of get started on the degree, a little bit at a time. But I found a program that was a bachelor's in youth development. So since I was leading youth, I thought that just made perfect sense. So my bachelor's degree is in youth development. So when I got done with the bachelor's degree, I was good. I was like, okay, I did this for me. I did it for the girls. I did it for my dad, I promised. And I'm good. And so my husband says to me, what you doing? I'm like, what you mean? He's like, we got enough money left on the education plan for you to get your master's. Right. I said, I have the master's money. I had a master's job. Why do I need to do that? And he said, because you're going to be the president of the Urban League one day. Wow. I said, child, you better go sit down somewhere. I'm like, I said, I listen to you. I honor what you say. Wow. I respect what you say, honey, but the Lord's going to have to tell me this one, because I don't see that in my future. Wow. But he knew, and he encouraged me, and he pushed me. So I went on and got that second degree. Mm-hmm. And
when did that come about after those 20 years of working with the youth? How did you obtain that position where you are now?
So what happened was, in 2009, mm-hmm. okay, so I got both degrees when I was back to back within about a 5-year span. And I got them online, okay, going to school full time, working full time. In 2009, when the bottom fell out at the Urban League, okay, by then I had the degrees, both of them. And I really only needed one to become the CEO, because you need to have a bachelor's, but a master's is desired. Mm. But what happened was, when the folks from the national office came, what they saw was I had been not only the youth director, but I had overseen all the other programs here and had either raised a good bit of the money, or if I didn't raise it, I had sort of overseeing how the money went. And so they came and said, you're the person that needs to be the interim here. It needs to be the next CEO. And I'm like, y'all need to stop saying that. That's not on my career plan. That's not, because what I knew, Errol, was that to be the CEO of an organization like this and this work, you're talking about being on 24/7.
Right.
I never wanted that. That's not something that I'm a pretty private person and pretty much entrenched with my family. So I didn't want to have to be all out all the time and out there and, you know. But my husband, I always respected his vision for our family and his vision for me. And he saw that for me, and he encouraged me in only the way he could. Baby, you need to do this. All right, okay, I get it. So we went on, and what I said to him is, I said, but you know, if I take this job, we're taking it together.
Right.
And he said, I got you. His famous words, I got you.
Did he continue to cook?
He did.
He did. Okay.
You know what he did until his health began to fail. He was exposed to Agent Orange in Vietnam, and that began to, you know, have some issues for him later on. So he did. He was a good cook too.
That's cool. And let's talk about, so looking back at some of the people that's been through your doors as you helped out, some of those success stories where you're like, wow, and they're still doing what they're doing today because of you guys. You got some of those stories? I
do. I think the pathway for many of those stories was a program that we had called Career Beginnings. It started at Case, and we brought it to the Urban League when we came. We worked with young people in high school, and we called them the kids in the middle. These were not the children who were getting in trouble all the time, and then not the cream of the crop, but the ones in the middle who nobody really paid attention to. They kind of came to class, they were kind of invisible, they really didn't get into a lot of trouble, but you know, they just kind of flowed through, and they could have fallen through the cracks because nobody paid attention to them. Right. That's the group we went after. And we gave them intense services. They had mentors. We took them on college campuses. We took them on college tours. We gave them a lot of supportive services. And we began to see how they changed before our very eyes. Wow. They became a community. At one time, we had 500 students in the program across 8 school districts. Now, we didn't have the kind of violence and gang stuff back then that we have today. So we didn't really have a lot of, you know, issues with fighting, and, you know, the girls were always the challenge. Right. You know, the girls were always the challenge. I had to get with them on a regular basis. I said, you know what, y'all supervise the girls tonight, let me supervise the boys, because they're a whole lot easier. But no, we loved them all. Cool. And gave a lot of tough love and a lot of support. And many of those young people finished college, went on to get their master's degrees. A few of them ended up becoming principals of high schools. And many of them went on to be great entrepreneurs and run their own businesses. That's awesome. And just a number of things. We have a young lady, Dawn Glasgow, who works, she just left Sisters of Charity. She was working over there. So they're just everywhere doing great things, awesome. and they'll tell you that they got their start at the Urban League.
Urban League. Urban League is about kind of leveraging the playing field, right?
Exactly.
Giving us a fair shot. That's what's out there.
Absolutely.
And man, I'm very impressed. Once again, I'm excited and honored to have sat here with you. And what's in the future now for the Urban League? How long are you going to be doing this?
How long is who gonna be doing this? Well, Errol, that's the secret. We won't talk about that. Okay. As long as God says. All right. But he and I have a plan. Since my husband's not the picture anymore, he dictates what I do. Okay. So he and I have a plan. But the thing that I'm really excited about is the National Urban League Conference is coming to Cleveland in 2025. All right.
So you all be the host?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So that's what I have my sights on right now.
Where's it going to be at?
It's going to be at the Convention Center, Cleveland Convention Center. Okay. Yeah.
And we hope to be there.
Yeah.
Cover some of that also.
I know you will. Absolutely. Absolutely. And there'll be a lot of excitement to cover.
So real quick, our viewing audience, please tell them how to get in touch with you guys.
Absolutely, absolutely. So our website is UL for Urban League, ulcleveland.org. You can go there, drop down menu shows you our programs. You can see our annual reports. You can look at all kinds of background information about our board and who we are. We have an amazing board of individuals who are just in the saddle with us on leadership. I think I probably have one of the boards that's most desirable among nonprofits right now.
We got some heavy hitters on there.
Yeah, we got some heavy hitters on there. We do, and led by our board chair, Kevin Clayton from the Cavaliers. So happy to have him, and we've got other great leaders on the board. India, Terry from RTA, and Catherine Hall from Jax, and Robert Solomon from Cleveland State, and there are many other great folks on the board, but just want to mention some of them that are kind of on the executive team and working with us on our diversity, equity, and inclusion work. So you can get in touch with us that way. You can also call our office at 622-0999. And we also, you can email us at info@ulcleveland.org.
All right. Hey, Ms. Mockabee, you've been a blessing to this city.
Thank
and please
you.
continue to create more opportunities for us in our communities. We appreciate you so much. Once again, it's an honor. And we are so glad, once again, that you have joined us today and been able to sit here and listen to Marsha Mockabee's story. And in honor of Women's History Month, I'm going to tell you, you are our hero. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Errol.
On behalf of the City of Cleveland and TV20, we thank you for joining us once again, celebrating women in history. I'm Errol Porter, this is TV20, and we are Cleveland.